Time now for our Rants and Raves of the week. And again, we're coming to you this week from our studios at the Boston Public Library. So hear a little more noise than usual. That's why. First up, Dan Kennedy.
I have a rave for the discerning users of the internet who are walking away from Twitter. We learned this just today, actually, that Twitter's number of monthly regular users has dropped from 70 million to 68 million. Now, that's still a lot of people. I find Twitter personally to be absolutely invaluable, and yet it's also become such a cesspool that they're starting to drive people away. They have to find a way to
When
figure
you drop
this
off,
out.
I'll follow.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I'll probably be the last one, but that doesn't mean I can't be critical of them.
All right, Adam.
I want to do a rave for Lorene Powell Jobs. She's the widow of Steve Jobs. She runs a group called the Emerson Collective, and they are going to be purchasing a majority stake in the Atlantic magazine from David Bradley. He apparently has realized his sons don't want to go into the family business and decided he wanted to sell to someone who would take good care of the magazine. And I think this is great news in particular because 10 years ago, if I picked up The Atlantic, I usually read it in hard copy, I would fall asleep just looking at the cover. And they have reinvented themselves in an incredibly effective way, in particular for this political moment with Jeffrey Goldberg as the editor, hiring people like McKay Coppins as a reporter, a whole bunch of other terrific people who work there. It's a really, really good magazine at just the right point in time. So I'm glad it's going to have a steward who wants to
And
take
not
care
just a really good magazine, but also a profitable one.
Yeah,
No, there is no legacy media owner who has managed the digital transition better than David Bradley. He's done a tremendous job.
She should move the magazine back to Boston.
Yeah, that would
I
be
know you
great.
said that. Wouldn't
that would,
that squander everything they've done, making themselves central to the national
Move it to
conversation?
Cupertino is more likely.
We'll
Kelly.
see. So I'm impressed with a lot of newspapers. The San Diego Union Tribune is one. Using Nextdoor. I don't know if everybody knows Nextdoor is a private network of neighborhoods. You have to be invited in. I missed my time, so now I'm not in anymore. But in any case, what they want to do is try to get closer to, folks without filters. And as much as they can get close to people within certain areas, even better when you're doing local stories. So they figured out a way without interfering with the private network communication between people who are part of it to have a news feed. And, ask for people to respond to it when they need to get it. And they can, and it seems to me a good two-way, a good of this time way to make sure that you're keeping your news reporting fresh with folks who are on the ground and local people. And I'm impressed because I want to see as much hyper-local news as possible in these newspapers. So good for them.
We have a great Nextdoor in West Medford. I love it.
Really?
Yeah.
Never heard of it. All right,
me
Josh.
My rave is for the roughly 100 or so people at the New York Times, journalists of the New York Times, who are moving on, taking a buyout. Some of them are names that you will recognize. Many are not because the copy editors are a large portion of who is leaving. You don't get to see their names in the paper. But I did want to mention two names in particular. James Risen, who has been an investigative reporter there for forever and been one of their very top national security reporters, broke a lot of the stories about the Bush-era NSA spying and has been a remarkable reporter for as long as he's been there. And Michiko Kakutani, who has been their book editor, their chief book editor for a long time and there for 38 years and is the most powerful reader of books in America. The Times is going through a digital transition. They're doing well with subscriptions. They have a path forward, but it's still sad to see them go.
And Risen leaves after weathering a lot of legal harassment, you could say, from the Obama.
And the Bush
Show
administration
was
as well.
Sex in the City.
All right, I got a double rave tonight. Can you believe that? This is yesterday's New York Times. Full page ad taken out by Fox News, Fox and Friends, really. That's Steve Doocy. Anyway, the Times had done a critique of Fox and Friends and after, because we know that Trump watches it. They weren't all that complimentary, but to tweak them, Fox News took out a $100,000 full page ad. And the reason I'm also raving for the New York Times is they had a very funny response. One of the editors, Thompson, his last name is, says, "I'm glad to see that Fox is now supporting upmarket journalism, and we're happy to take their money." So good for them. It was funny.
That is funny.
All right. Anything more to add on that?
I've got nothing on that. You can't trust anything that rag prints.
Right, yeah.
The
Oh, by the
failing
way,
New York
they
Times.
took out 2 other ads, Washington Post and one other. So I mean, they spent some money on this
They can
kind of thing.
afford it.
And it wasn't just
apparently
Fox and Friends. At Real Donald Trump tweeted, approvingly of that article, which was not in any way approving, but he got what he wanted out of it.